All right, it's time for the Backyard Gardens podcast fall seed giveaway. To enter, go to backyardgardenstv.com, enter your email address, and be sure to do that before August the 1st, 2021, when the giveaway closes. Good luck.
It's time for us to be responsible gardeners. It's time for us to save water, keep our plants cool, keep them happy, do all that good stuff, because we're going to be adding mulch right here on the Backyard Gardens podcast Minisode.
To have a good harvest, one must plant good seeds and must also use the right kind of fertilizer. The carrots have grown large and firm. How good they will taste.
Welcome to the Backyard Gardens podcast, where we talk about all things gardening and give the information out for you to be successful in your garden, whether it's your first or your last. We are your hosts, Ben, the backyard gardener, and
Batavia, the front yard gardener.
one in the country,
One in the city.
Now get ready as we dig deep into this wonderful world of gardening, as we learn to grow and grow for change. A lot of y'all asked, how can you help support the Backyard Gardens podcast? Well, we have been busy and we have created a t-shirt line just for the gardener.
To visit our shop, go to the link in the show notes and check out the t-shirts and other goodies we have.
Now, these are super special t-shirts designed just for the gardener, so enjoy. Thank you for supporting the Backyard Gardens podcast, and we'll see you guys after the harvest. I felt like when I said mulch, I sounded like a total asshole.
No, I mean, not based on you saying mulch.
Okay. There's other reasons, but not the mulch. Got it. Yeah. This is a hot topic for me, man.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe I agreed to make this minisode. But here we go. All right, let's do it.
So the whole idea behind the minisode is to remind everybody to go mulch if you want to mulch. That's really what I'm saying. If you want to mulch, how's that?
Yes.
No,
you are free to choose to mulch or not.
Yeah, I historically have not mulched, but I changed that this year. Mm-hmm. So I'm fully mulched right now. So
for me, I am not, as of this recording, fully mulched. But as of the airing of this show, I expect to be. So I'm doing a couple of different things in my garden. I have a couple of beds that are planted in a space that gets sun, but the plants are growing so close together, but in a positive way, where I believe that they're shading out that soil, the plants themselves. So I'm not going to go back in there and put anything in that particular bed. That's just one bed of 998. Now, the others, I absolutely plan on mulching, and we've talked about the idea of using a different combination of things. But for this minisode, the intention is, even if you've already mulched, you want to make sure that there's still a thick layer. So we're talking, even up to 3 to 4 inches. If you've not mulched already, get in there and do it now, especially if you're in those warmer climates.
Yeah, like my climate. Mm-hmm, why don't you just call me out?
I'm talking about you.
So what kind of mulch are you using this year?
I am using, it's easier to say what I'm not using. I'm using straw and leaves. Those are the only two.
Straw and leaves. No mulch, no wood?
No wood. I'm fighting the urge. The reality is we're committing to no wood this year.
So I'm adding straw right now, but I've added leaves over the winter.
I've just changed my mind. I may add add wood to some of the containers I'm growing in, because it's a lot easier to pull that back. That's my issue with the wood chip mulch.
Amongst other things. But no, I take a bale of straw, wheat straw, as I've been corrected on YouTube. So it's wheat straw, and I mulch it down with a mulching blade, and then I put it on. And the reason why I'm doing it is 2 reasons. So remember in the last minisode, I said that the next week's episode, I was going to dovetail into this.
I remember.
Well, because if you mulch it down and it actually breaks down, it adds and it acts, as a fertilizer almost. It turns into compost inside of your garden, right?
Sure.
I see you rolling your eyes like, yeah, okay, that's bullshit.
No, I believe it, but how fine that needs to be for that to happen within a garden season. I mean,
nobody said this person, Ben Gardner, did not say this season. Okay, do not put that word in my mouth. How dare ye?
Apologies
accepted. Thank you, ma'am. No, I'm just saying over time. You know what I mean? So like in this garden that I have now, like I have to add it because it's hard for me to find mulch around here. And even though I'm trying to make my own, it's a hell of a lot easier for me. Compost. It's hard for me to find compost. And even though I make my own, it's a lot easier for me to make it inside of my garden bed to some extent. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. And then if it can help with evening the water levels out so that my tomatoes don't crack, then I'm game.
I just came up with a garden experiment.
I just saw you like cooking it up too. I was wondering what was going on.
It is a garden experiment. The makings of it is no one said that I had to pull back the wood chip mulch or any mulch from the garden bed. I do it because I want to amend the garden bed. I want to add specifically compost to it. And so I was just thinking that, and I'll probably do it in an in-ground garden bed. What happens when I just load up the compost? We've talked about being able to plant inside of compost, right? Put some type of mulch on there, and that next year just plant directly inside of it. Forget raking the mulch back and all of that stuff. So I'm hoping that, and I just, again, made this up in my mind, maybe 2 years out of it. There could be some suffering the next year, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I think you will be successful, though.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I mean, if you think...
Prequel Bill, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, my mushrooms are growing in nothing but straw.
I love your mushrooms.
I just pulled a clump out of it today, too. I was pretty excited. But, it's just rotting hay. Straw that's turning into dirt. So I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I've seen some people grow potatoes in barrels of straw and or hay.
Not
bales.
Barrels,
Thank you.
Bales.
Thank you. Yeah.
Big
Absolutely,
difference.
Yeah. Bales of straw. So, I mean, I guess my point is, I'm trying to make things easier, not harder. I'm thinking about resources. So that's another case. We talked about fertilizer last week. These costs add up. So, be resourceful, use what you can get your hands on. You may need to spend a little bit of money. It's going to be for the greater good of your garden. But what happens when I'm able to, do that experiment and be successful?
Yeah.
That could be something that could be a game changer.
That's a solid point. You need to be successful at it, and you need to, it's trying these things out and giving yourself another opportunity to learn something is so important. And you can watch people do it all day long. All day long you can watch people do it, but until you do it yourself, you will never, ever know.
Preach.
So, my brothers.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And I mean, that's why, like, for years and years and years, I mean, what year is this? This is 2021. For the past 13 years, I hardly ever used mulch in my garden. And this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in there. And it was because I saw a direct reason for it.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty happy with it now because I can slide my hand underneath it and it's still wet.
Yeah. And this is, again, you're using primarily
straw.
Okay.
Yeah. Straw. I have it available to me and it's cheap. So that's what, and then, in the fall, I'll definitely put leaves on top of that. And so I'm building that lasagna.
Oh, excellent point. Man, coming through with the Minisode, multiple bell rings.
Yeah, multiple. So I'll put the leaves on top of that, and then I'll come back around and I'll put compost on top of that. And so then it'll just keep going and going. So, and as you get through the end of the year, like, so your straw is not going to break down completely this year, but I guarantee you that if you go out after this season and your 3-inch layer of straw is going to be 2.5.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe something like that, you know? So
and that's just,
not
no one's coming in to pick that out of your garden. Like that's, you know, it is decomposing.
It is decomposed, and you now have another 1/2 inch, you know, we'll just say a 1/2 inch that don't, please, God, don't quote me that I said that it will break down a 1/2 inch worth. Like, don't do that. But, and I know there's compression and stuff like that of it, but and settling.
I mean, that's a part of the reason why this is a Minisode in the middle of the garden season, because you have some people that still have mulch on their gardens from last year.
Right.
You know, so, and that's totally fine. You know, this is just about how much is it enough to get you through this season, or do you need to top it off a bit?
You need to top it off.
Okay.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah, that's the reason why we're recording this episode, right?
Yeah. Well, you know why I would top it off too? I would just put a thin layer on just so it looked better.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I mean, if you think about it too, like flower gardens, people typically put wood mulch down on those, right? That's really the common one, correct?
That is correct.
They don't pull that wood mulch off. They go out there and they just keep adding it into it. And then, but where's that wood mulch going?
Into the earth, yeah.
Yeah, it's going right back. It's going home, baby. You know, them little fire ants and stuff, they ain't taking it and toting it off. It's just staying right there. So... You know, it's funny because I feel like once you just put food into the equation, we overcomplicate it. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does make sense. I think I may have just had a moment of clarity.
Yeah, I think I have too. So I'm so glad we did this Minisode today because first of all, I'm gonna go out and double check my mulch, make sure I got enough, if you know what I'm saying. But and it helps keep weeds down. It helps keep soil cool. It helps with water retention. It helps build the soil, and it eventually will act as a fertilization agent, you know, a soil amendment. What other benefits can we call from it? I can't think of anything else, but
I just want to second again, if you have a heavy and thick layer of mulch, the weed suppression. It's real. Like, I pull weeds around the borders of my garden because that's kind of where the landscape fabric and the mulch ends. And I'm mostly talking about walkways. I'm not talking about inside of gardens at all. The only time I'm pulling weeds inside of garden beds is the time where I don't have it mulched. So that's a key time saver. You know, it looks better. You'll be more satisfied, I think. So
yeah, and to go on record, wood mulch is very effective at suppressing weeds. That being said, I cannot recommend wood mulch, but that's okay. Yeah. You know, I'm not having weeds with my straw mulch this year, but I put it down thick, and I also mulched it. So if you mulch it, you know, chop it, whatever, it doesn't leave those big air gaps through because they're smaller pieces, so there's not light getting through.
Does that make sense? Key. Absolutely, that is key. My experience with straw has been that I've been putting it on thinly because it's been previously where I was getting it from was expensive. And so I was trying to stretch that shit out, you know? Yeah. And it didn't serve me well. I could look down, easily see the dirt. And guess what's going to see the dirt? The sun. Guess what's going to quickly get to the dirt? That water. Guess what's going to come back up? The weeds.
Well, another thing too is you don't get that breakdown because of that. It dries out. You have to keep it moist to an extent. That's what causes it to break down. Like your compost pile has to be wet. Yep. And so it's the same thing. You need to keep it moist. So yeah, this is one of those instances where it is not good to be a cheap bastard like myself. Yeah, and you just have to say, you know what, this is the one time I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lay it on thick and move on with it. And plus, if you lay it on thick now, chances are you can get through the whole season with that thick layer on.
Agreed.
Right? Yep. Anything else you got to add about mulch?
Did I already say do it now, or did I say that on the last episode?
The last one, but you can say it now.
Do it now.
You heard it right here in the Backyard Gardens podcast, everybody. Everybody go out there and put some mulch on your gardens and make them happy. Keep it cool, keep it wet, keep it weed-free, and make some more dirt. Until next time.
See ya.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you want to see what we're up to or just stay up to date on all the announcements regarding the show or anything gardening, then you can follow us on Instagram at Backyard Gardens TV.
We love seeing what you guys are doing, so use hashtag BYG Podcast in your posts, and we'll be sharing your gardens with the Backyard Gardens community.
And check us out on YouTube at Backyard Gardens, where we will post this show, all of our other shows, clips, and then also some gardening tips and just gardening entertainment. And you can see us at our website at backyardgardenstv.com. But that's it for today's show. So help us as we learn to grow and grow for change. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later. We'll call this one a wrap.
Now you know why people feel like celebrating at harvest time.
All over the world, people have feasting and good times when the crops have been gathered in.